I am Meredith Colby. I support voice teachers to create confident teaching and singing of popular styles. I am also the author of Money Notes, How to Sing High, Loud, Healthy, and Forever, which introduces neurovocal method, a way to use brain science to teach healthy technique for people who sing into microphones. If you want to book private lessons with me for voice coaching or lessons, or find information about classes or products, you will find all the information at my website, meredithcolby.com. As I said today, I do have a great freebie today, and I made it. I didn't steal any of it. It's something you won't find anywhere, and it will help you feel informed about what's available to a singer who wants to work in something other than a music theater production or opera production. There are 16 different types of gigs with a description about each one so you can see what will be a good fit for you and all of your mojo. And you can answer your students' questions about expanding their performance reach. Put gigs in the comments and the neurovocal bot will send it to you. Also, you have to tell the bot that it's okay to send you a reminder about my broadcasts. So, because you have to, it's a Facebook thing. So don't forget to opt in for those reminders. I hope you will share your thoughts with me today. Oh, and if you are watching this on YouTube, you can find the link to this download in the comments. So if you are watching this today, I hope you will share your thoughts and comments with me, or on the replay. Actually, you could do it on the replay as well. I check those comments. If something happens, if I say something that gives you a takeaway, put hashtag that. It's that thing. Hashtag that in the comments. Hearts and thumbs are always appreciated. Makes Facebook like me a little better. So if you enjoy my broadcasts, please give me some love in the comments with a heart or a thumb. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can give me a thumbs up and follow me. Yay! Okay, here we go. We're talking gigs, people. We are talking about gigs. Rest assured that I know from which I speak. I have done every kind of gig that there is, I think. I think there's one kind of gig here I have not done, and I will tell you which one that is. But like the title of this broadcast, the title of this broadcast should probably be, I've made all the mistakes, so you don't have to. Most people who perform just stumble forward into gigs. They are willing to make fools of themselves. I was, and they usually do. I did, and learn as they go. It is the natural order of things. So I hope that if you're thinking about gigging or gigging again, getting back into gigging, especially if you're planning on trying something that's new to you, that you will give yourself some grace and walk along the learning curve. There just isn't a manual for how to gig. Now, but you can learn a lot from talking with other musicians and joining Facebook groups for performing musicians in your area or in your genre. Those are such a blessing, really. That said, I'm going to tell you that what I always tell my neophyte singers, performing singers, gigging singers, and that is, here's my Yoda ears. If you can learn from someone else rather than at your own expense, you should. So if you want to sing in a band, don't start your own band. Just don't start there right away. Try to spend a little time as a singer in someone else's band. If you want to put a cabaret show together, thank you for the thumbs up on that. Join a cabaret group or hire a cabaret coach to work with. Work with Eden Castile. She's amazing. She will shorten your learning curve for you. You get my meaning. You'll learn a lot about what's important to do and how not to waste your time. If you can learn from somebody else, you should. I recognize that is not always possible. And if it's not, it's not. The world will keep turning. Even if you underestimate how many songs you'll need for a gig and the third set is exactly like the first set. It's okay. It's music. It is not emergency room surgery. So it's okay to make mistakes. Anyway, Kathy Glickman, the cabaret queen, is watching me. She says, woohoo, cabaret. Yeah, by BTW, she learned a lot from an amazing cabaret coach here in Chicago, Becky Menzie, who distinctly shortened Kathy Glickman's learning curve, I should say. I also want to tell you a little trick of how to boost your confidence, okay? Or your students' confidence, if that's who you are thinking about today. If you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about your students. And that is, go observe the type of gig you want to do. So let's say you want to sing in a jazz trio. Go hear a jazz trio. And then go hear 2 more jazz trios. Because even if it takes you 2 months to find 3 performances, please do it. Because here's what will happen. You'll go to the gig. Now, assuming there's live gigs in your area, you might have to put this off a little wait. Depends. Okay. You have your gig, you're sitting there and you're watching that singer, that jazz trio singer, and you're thinking at the beginning of the night, you're thinking, wow, that looks really fun. I love her dress. I wonder if I should get a microphone. That couple in front of the stage keeps talking. I wish they'd shut up. That's what will happen in your head. But at about 45 minutes in, you will start thinking, huh, I could do that. I'm as good as she is. I could do this gig. It will help it become more familiar, less scary. It will help you see yourself performing that way. That is my advice to you. So I'm going to divide these gigs into band gigs and other types of gigs. On the freebie that I'm offering today, you can get all this by putting gigs. Where did I put it? Put gigs in the comments. I list band gigs, small group gigs for 1 to 3 musicians, and theatrical type gigs. They're all out there. There aren't hard and fast lines dividing these things. All the rules are flexible, so just keep that in mind, okay? So we're going to start with band gigs. I have a question here from Christine who says, the download of pop songs rather than a list of gigs. Is that what this is supposed to be? And I don't know why yours is showing up so weird. The download is of pop songs rather than a list of gigs. That is not what it's supposed to be. I literally checked that this morning. Okay, well, I'll make sure you get it. I will fix it right after the broadcast, and I will make sure you get the list of gigs. Thanks for letting me know, Christine. Okay, so we're going to start with band gigs. Being in a band of like-minded musicians is a great thing. If you're all ambitious, you can rehearse 3 times a week, you can gig out every weekend. Yay! If you are people with kids at home and you want to rehearse twice a month and gig out once every other month, you can do that too. There are people out there who are like you. You can suffer together and rejoice together. You can work out your dysfunctional family issues. It's a beautiful thing. You can be in a band with musicians you already know, or you can find, I made this for you, people on BankMix.com, which is a terrific resource where people will you can look at what other people are, what their projects are, what kind of musicians they're looking for to complete their projects. You can also put up sort of a profile of yourself and what the sorts of projects you are looking for, and then people connect that way. You can use that. You can also use Craigslist. Craigslist is tried and true. People find each other on Craigslist all the time. Auditioning can be done via video exchange, which will save you a lot of time. And really, singers, you need to hear the band too, as much as they need to hear you. So do not be shy about asking them for a recording of some sort of video or something when you send them yours, okay? Say okay. If you're in a band, you have a number of different gigs available to you. There are those you are probably familiar with, like bars and restaurants. We all know about those gigs. There are also street fairs and festivals, which happen all the time and are always in need of entertainment. Those are typically booked by local governments or chambers of commerce. Sometimes mall management will book those kind of things. It's the kind of thing where you find out via the interweb or that new Facebook group that you just joined. Unless you're very familiar with your area, and then you know, because but they book those. If a fair is in May, let's say, they will start booking in May of the previous year, and they won't start advertising until April of the year of the festival. So it's good to look ahead, right? Or find out from other musicians. I will tell you that outdoor events like street fairs and festivals, it really helps to get your foot in the door way ahead. So let them know. Bands are hired by private event planners for weddings, corporate events, and parties all the time. Seriously, on any given weekend, there are literally tens of thousands of bands across the globe playing for private events. Not just bands, it's single musicians as well. Trios, any kind of combination. It is a huge industry, huge, because in that industry, musicians get paid. Another place to get paid is in the travel industry. Speaking of industries, bands are also used by resorts and cruise ships. So if you can be casual and stay close to home, or you can use your singing to roam the world, really. There's all sorts of opportunities. I'm going to share something with you that will be obvious as soon as I say it. And that hi Brian, Brian is here. It's going to be obvious as soon as I say it, but a lot of musicians who are new to gigging don't really understand. If you want to gig a lot, you should pick popular music. The less known your music is, the harder it is to get a gig. I made you a graphic, so you will remember this. An eclectic mix of songs is something that every singer wants to do, right? We all want to do our favorite songs, but it's almost impossible to book that. The reason is because it's hard to promote. So yeah, you can perform songs that are less well known. You can perform your originals, absolutely. You can mix things up and perform from several different categories, but you just have to bear in mind that those kind of things it's harder to get gigs. It's harder to find places to perform with that. So the easy sell is that which is recognizable and thus easy to promote, such as ethnic music, cover music, music from certain decades, tribute bands, or different kinds of dance music. Just FYI. Brian says, let's see if his is showing up huge too. I'm just going to have to read these and figure out all these glitches later. Brian says, that might alienate some voice teachers. Oh, well. Yeah, I'm just telling it like it is, people. I don't make the rules. If your goal is to get out there and sing, think about your audience and join a band that's playing really popular types of music. If your goal is to be an artist whose creative and original works are through the medium of song, that's great too. I am not telling you not to do that. You should do that. It's just different. And you should know that it will be different going in. That's all I'm saying. Again, my download walks you through different types of gigs for different types of bands, and I'm not even going to promote it anymore. No, I am going to, because I can still give it to you afterward. Put gigs in the comments. I'll make sure you get it. I promise. Okay. Singing in a small group or as a soloist is also an option. And I'm going to start out by pointing out two of my personal favorite venues for dream gigs. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the features of these gigs. The instrumentation is one or two instruments, and the singer is the star. The music can be less than popular, it can be original, it can even be classical. The gigs are easy to find, they pay, and the audiences are attentive and often appreciative. These gigs almost always happen during the day. And are you thinking to yourself, why Meredith? Why Meredith? What is this most perfect gig of which you speak? I bet you are thinking that, aren't you? The answer is there are two categories, children and retirees. I have a musician friend who is very successful here in Chicago, someone who's amazing, an amazing woman. Her name is Wendy, and she has a kids' music project that she's been at for I don't know how long, at least a decade. She records original music. She works with a guy she gets along with really well, and she works during the day. She seldom has to travel to her gigs. She gets both private and public gigs, and her audiences hang on her every word. How great is that? The other category, which is easily as great, is retirees. Every independent, the person I mentioned earlier, Becky Menzie, does these kind of gigs, and she's lovely and they love her. Every independent living development or graduated care community or civic senior center has a budget for entertainment. And they need the kind of musical presentations that their residents and members will enjoy. The audiences are polite and appreciative. The shows are an hour long, usually, and the gigs usually happen during the day. Now, you're not going to get rich from these gigs, but they do pay. So, okay, about getting paid. Let's talk about getting paid. I know. You may be thinking, I have another income. I just want to sing. I don't need to be paid. And I get that. I feel you. I would be in that position as well. I don't really need to be paid. But there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind. The first, when we think about whether or not we get paid. The first is that there is a direct ratio, and gigging artists, if you want to argue with me, show up on the comments because I would love to hear it. But I've done a zillion gigs in my life, and I believe this to be true from my own experience and vicariously, that there is a direct ratio between how much you are getting paid and how well you will be treated. Oh, I want to put that up there. Boom. It is counterintuitive. I understand that. But it is something that you can absolutely count on. Okay, 98% of the time you can count on it. Because the reason I say it's counterintuitive is because you're thinking, oh, I'm giving them this great show. I'm with my talent and my time commitment, and I put so much into this show. And of course, they'll know all that, and they'll appreciate me for it. No, they will not. If you work for free, they will treat you badly. There won't be anyone to greet you when you get to the gig. You'll be put in a corner. You'll have to find someone to ask for everything you need. There won't be any promotion, so you won't have much of an audience. Do I sound like I've been there? I've been there. Trust me. And thank you. Can I? Brian is, okay, it's too big. Brian is saying, amen. People have more respect for artists with bigger price tags. That is absolutely true. I mean, really, the gigs where in my career, the gigs where I was treated like some kind of star were always the ones where I was paid really well. And the ones where I showed up and did it for really cheap or even free, I was treated horribly. Like, I'd have to ask for, where are we supposed to set up? There was nobody there to greet. Well, anyway, I already said that. It's just like your students, y'all. It's like your students. If they invest in the process, they will engage in the process. If you don't place value on your services, neither will your clients, singing or teaching. The other reason you need to not work for free, as long as I'm on my soapbox, is while you may be in a financial position to work for free or cheap, other musicians are not. So when we train our clients not to expect to pay for our musical services, we hurt other musicians and we hurt the value of live music, of music performance. So please charge people. This is what I'm saying. If we want our work to be valued, we have to value it. And in our world, that shows up most obviously and readily as a price tag. So part of the reason you need to charge and tell your students that they need to charge is because we must be the defenders of art. We must defend the art. I'm going to throw out just a few more ideas because I do want to inspire you today. I don't just want to lecture you from my soapbox. These are listed on the freebie list, which you can get by putting gigs in the trigger, or if you're watching on YouTube, look in the comments and you will find a link to that download. So far I've mentioned bars and restaurants, resorts and cruises, street fairs and festivals, private or civic events, and events for children and retirees. There are a couple other categories that you might be interested in, especially if you are given to theatrics. Christine, are you listening? If you are interested in the power of music to aid learning also, or if you are a committed classical singer. Those two categories are house concerts and the school circuit. House concerts are a thing that you may or may not know about, and they are the one category that I personally do not have any experience with as a performer. I have never given a house concert, though I have attended a couple of them, and they're lovely. So I cannot speak from firsthand experience as a performer, but I do know artists who have done these, and I looked it up online. There is a circuit of these house concerts. They're for artists typically of original music, but sometimes they can be for a genre that's a little niche or has a smaller but avid fan base, like bluegrass or classical. They are concerts in people's homes. The homeowner is the host and invites the people. Those people expect to pay, depends on where you are, between $20 and $100 per ticket, and that goes directly to the musician or musicians. If you have recordings or other merch that you generally sell, that is encouraged. People do that. The other category is the school circuit. So every public school and most private schools have a budget to bring in performing artists for enrichment purposes. So I knew a guy who had a guitar and he sang. And he had a few shows about American history. The ones that I remember were one was about the Mississippi River, history of the Mississippi River, and the Revolutionary War. Yeah, but he probably had more than that. Anyway, the guy worked 3 to 5 days a week. Oh, Christine says we were going to have a house party for Emma Langford for her U.S. tour, but then COVID. Wah, wah, wah. Well, hopefully you'll be able to try again, Christine. So, but here's the thing about this guy I want to tell you. So he wasn't a genius musician, either singer or player, but he loved history and he loved kids, and he had this great energy and this real enthusiasm. But this guy worked 3 to 5 days a week. Okay, I hope y'all are sitting down. He worked 3 to 5 days a week. He worked between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and he made 6 figures as a performing artist. Yes, I'm telling you this. It's an amazing little niche. Again, you have to think about your audience. Additionally, the manner in which these bookings occur are different from place to place. Like, for instance, here in Chicago, there's one way to get on school rosters if you're working for the city of Chicago, and then there's another way to get on those rosters if you're working for the north and west suburbs, and yet a third way for the south suburbs. So there is a process. Oh, and private schools have another process, and the homeschooler networks, don't forget them. They have yet another process. So right out of the gate, there is a learning curve. But you know what? I'm sure once you're familiar with it, it's not a big deal. So that was a lot. I just gave you guys a lot. If you are overwhelmed, take a breath. Don't be. Just get the download and or reply to the email. If you're on my email list, I sent you a thing. You can just reply to the email and I will send you that download. But just look at the gig types that are listed in the download and just kind of mull it over. Think about what could work for you, well for you, for your schedule and your personality and how much you want to travel and how much you want to charge and all that stuff. So just think about that and you know, maybe get out there and gig. Thank you for being here with me today. I'm Meredith Colby. I support voice teachers to create confident teaching and singing of popular styles. My book and other information about me and what's available through my site is at meredithcolby.com. Have a great week, you guys. Thanks. Bye-bye.